Good morning, good morning. Why don't I have sound? That is the question. Alright, there we go. Do you think we are creating a base here for SPY to go to 685? 685. Let me look. So I see like an upper balance, which what I would call this like our upper. So we have a lot
10
of work to
seconds.
do to actually get up, and then we could play this rotation. But right now, you're just back into this offer here. And I
A
think
build of 2.774 million, a build of 2.774 million, higher than the expected draw of 2.363 million. Gasoline inventories, a build of 2.513 million, a build of 2.513 million, higher than the expected build of 1.163 million. Distillate inventories, a build of 1.147 million, a build of 1.147 million, higher than the expected build of 0.340 million. And Cushing's, a draw of 0.068 million, a draw of 0.068 million.
and I think that we might need to build out in this area for a bit, just like we did here before we chose direction, and just like we did last time when we gapped up into this. Right, these last two attempts, they took a bit more effort to figure out if we were going to be able to flip this, right? Where we pushed down, we then reoffered, and then we tried to get back through, and then that resulted in a push down from there. So right where we are right now, it feels very similar to the last times that we gapped into this area, where I feel like we're going to need to either test this, and then we'll look to see how we interact here. And if we can get above, then we can rotate up. But if this continues to fail, just like the last attempts, when we gapped into this area, this could result in a test and then a rotation down. So I don't think that that 8.5 target right now makes a ton of sense. As a right, we have to see what happens first into this 81, 82 area. But if we can flip that, then I would suspect that then we could do this upper rotation. But until then, you just have like a pretty clear pivot above from our previous tests into this area.
We do
right?
have the US EIA weekly petroleum status report on the feed for those interested.
Again, it's all about just like looking left and seeing our previous tests. So 85 really isn't on my radar yet, with where we are. But if we can flip it, then I would expect then a rotation something like this, and then we can see if we, get continuation, or if this fails and then rotates back down like so. But we filled the gap on NVIDIA, which is cool. Filled the gap, and then filled the gap of the gap, and now have bounced. Right, so we filled the gap down, filled the gap, and now we're testing our halfway back of this move, seeing which way we're going to go from here. Good holds of our 30-second opening ranges on ES and NQ, testing into it now. Let's see if we can flip.
According to the EIA, US East Coast gasoline stocks fell in the latest week to lowest since November 2022.
Into our ETHI, 30-second opening range here on NQ. I want to see if we can flip this. This is our ETHI as well for Russell after holding our pivot and view up on bounce. Looking in now. Holding so far on our edge. This offer at 40 is pretty heavy. Still holding. I'd like to see us be able to get one more leg up to at least 55, but gotta flip this 40 guy. RTY leading up. Reach of highs there, flip 40. See if we can find this bid, and then rotate up into this higher offer on our previous 15 into this POC is what I'm watching for. Yes, is already there. Offer sitting at 50s on NQ. What's up, club?
France's President Macron to travel to China December 3rd to December 5th? JP Morgan's Diamond says UK Chancellor focus on financial discipline is something that the market should welcome.
Why does the bot sound like that? Awful. This is our return to view up here on NQ. Russell's still very flat. ES just back to POC. See if the bid is here or if this is going to fail. Looking at this is basically a look for liquidity off of a failure into our previous day, or sorry, our previous POCs from our sell side. But now that we're here, we're watching to see if we then are able to get back above and go, trapping this liquidity down here, or if this is going to fail at this edge and then continue downwards. Offer sitting at 220 on NQ. Should be able to see where we're headed from there. into our 220 now.
Stocks Europe 600 index extends gains to 1%, a session high.
Following pathing so far, just watching to see
UK
if we can put in
30-year
a higher
gilt
low
yield
here
down 9.8 basis
into our
points to
POC of previous candle.
5.23%, the biggest
Offers should be
one-day
sitting
fall
here.
since April.
We're watching to see if we can flip it and hold it now. For full rotations back up, we should expect, if we can hold this edge, that we can take out highs with a look into this liquidity below, and then the secondary bid stepping in here on recovery, right? So this is just a return to review up, higher low bounce, and now we'll watch to see if we can build here at our edge. If we can, again, I'd say that we should be looking for this high to be taken at 250. If we can't, then sell side still very clearly in control. If we can't find this bounce here at our 240, and then we'll have to rotate back down. But I'd like to see this bid try to at least maintain here. Russell testing highs, leading.
The UK 10-year gilt yield down 6.7 basis points to 4.428%.
I'm out one here on NQ, just as we push into 50, just in case we can't take out this high into this like 50-55, but we'll see. I just want to make sure I'm taking a little profit off as we retest highs, just in case. Sell side's a little bit more serious than I thought. But I do think that we can take out highs with this look below. Let's see what we can do here. Alright, well, I'm glad I took off one. Watching our retest here. Good bid on our edge. Back to our highs where we took profit. Into our 55 offer. Taking off one more. Highs taken. Let's see how we interact up here. Can we build above this 55 where that POC was, or does this continue to hold? 1 minute until new 15s. ES testing highs. I'm out one more on NQ. Just in runner now on our edge from our 30-second opening range hold.
So a reminder in 5 minutes time, ECB's US to sell $77 billion 3-month bills on December 1st to settle on December 4th.
Just following our pathing.
The US to sell $77 billion in 6-month bills on December 1st to settle on December 4th. In 5 minutes' time, we're expecting comments from ECB's Lane, who's due to speak in a fireside chat organised by Santander in Paris.
Good hold so far on ES. NQ now attempting the same flip that we just saw on ES. See if we can do it.
Surely expecting comments from ECB's Lane.
I think 300, 310 is a good area to start to take off a little. See how we interact into that. Same thing on ES as we push into our like 32, 35 area. So your first target. Like into this, we'll see what happens. And then above that, we can look for 40, 41 on our HVE that's sitting there. But I think that we'll have a bit of a seller up here into these highs short term. Offer sitting at 300. Little RTY divergence as we're continuing to push on NQ and ES. Hoping that we see this as our bid here as we push into 86 on Russell. And then gets that continuation. This is our target on both ES and NQ for our next leg off of our hold here. See how we interact.
The pound rises 0.6% on broad dollar weakness.
Again, I think we can just be a little choppy here if they don't just take immediately through and flip us. This 305, 310 area just seems like trying to see a little profit taking. Offers pretty clear here. unless they step out of the way. Just watch to see if we build out this area a bit.
UK Chancellor Reeves says she recognises the UK government asking people to pay more. Reeves says Labour's campaign tax pledge applies to rates. We have found a video for ECB Lane's comments. It is on the feed.
Good bounce on our Russell pivot. Right. Let's watch to see if we put in a lower offer here into this node. A lot of volume at this 88.6. Watching to see how we trade into that. If we put in a lower high here and then we continue down,
ECB's
or
Lane
if we
says
can
for
actually build this out off
sustainability
our
of
pivot,
inflation at 2%, we
keep
need to see
going.
deceleration of non-energy price growth. The Fed bids for 7-year notes total $5 billion.
Holding so far up here. Like I said, just building this out. We knew that offer was going to be sitting here short term, but as long as this can continue to just maintain, I'm not incredibly worried about it. I'll be much happier if we can do this secondary leg on Russell and break out of this range, but we got to step over these offers on NQ and ES. But good flag and hold so far, higher lows continuing. New 15s have opened, pushing highs now. See if Russell can do it as well. That would definitely help alleviate some of this sell side pressure, give us that continuation that we want.
UK 30-year gilts extend gain. Yield drops 10 basis points to 5.22%.
Into our next target here on NQ. ES still has a bit more room. I'm watching our Russell to see if we can hold these highs now. Held our lows on our range that we were trading. Watching now to see if we can hold highs. If we can, should be able to get our next leg. A lot of supply up here on NQ. I'd like to see ES head towards that 41. Just keeping an eye on our Russell highs. See if we can build out these edges.
The Nasdaq 100 index extends gains to 1%.
40 seconds, still new 15s. Russell's still having a hard time up in these highs. Just watching our ES and NQ retests here on new 15s. Watching to see if we find like a bid into this low and then can go off of this on the new 15. Need to see RTY find a low as well in the new 15s. 5 seconds. Bid resting at 15 on NQ. Furthest I'd want to see this go down is 310. If we can't find our bid at 310s, then I'm probably out short term. Watching now. I want to see us back over 30s off of our 10 bounce, or it'll be our lower high
Treasury when
offer.
issued 7-year yield 3.775% before the $44 billion auction.
Watching our pivot here. ES held our pivot at our 30, retest, 10s holding so far, back into our 30. This is 20 points from our 10. Let's see what happens here. We need to be able to pop this, or this will be where the offer sits, pretty clear. I'm taking off my original position, and now I'm only in my runner at 310.
Free spot 781%, free spot 781%, bid to cover 2.46. The US selling $44 billion, awarding 19.48% of bids at high, 13.1% to primary dealers, 30.3% to direct bidders, 56.7% to indirect bidders. So that auction is a tail of 0.6 basis points.
into our highs here, into 40. Offer's still sitting here. They're trying to move up into 45, taking out highs from our 10s. See if we can build up here. Russell leading up again. Again, ES held our pivot. NQ held our flip. Watching now to see if we can build into these highs. Super important. If we can do that, we should be able to continue running. And then I'd be looking for 60 as our next target if we can do this. Again, just in my runner now from 310, I've taken off original contract. Now just in our 310 bid. Just gotta eat through the supply that's here. ES almost a target at 41. That's been our target, HVE there. We can get over 41s. We have a secondary target that's much higher, up into our ADR for another like 20 points. I bet 60s, but I think we're gonna have to do some work here. See what we do. Incredible trend day so far. Offer sitting at 350 on NQ. Pushing into target now here into 60, top edge. Yes, right through our pivot. I would love to see a retest of 41. Into our target here now at 60s. This is a great risk off if you're playing off of our 10s or the flip of our 30. This is 50 points now on NQ from our 310 bid. Move stops up, almost $1,000 a contract here. I'm debating if I hold for 420 for the meme, but this is ADR here on NQ at 80. I think I'm out, yeah. You can definitely hold, I think, for a bit longer. I'm gonna wait for the new 15s for next trade. I'm probably taking early, but I like the 1,000 I just took off that contract from our 10s. See what we can do here. This is ADR and NQ, just taking profit based off of my plan. And then if we can push this 80 and flip, I think we go 420. Just so that you can see what I just did for YouTube. It is a very good day. I think Friday is going to be absolute ass, though. I probably won't be here for Friday, so I'm glad that we had a good Tuesday and Wednesday. I will be right back. Oh, Lord. Into POC of previous candle here on NQ. Watching our Russell, just rotation back down to our pivot. Same thing with ES. Again, I'm flat into ADR. Now just waiting for next trade. I'd like to see one more leg up to 420 on NQ. Just waiting for the opportunity. Bid sitting at 340 on NQ so far. Looks like that's where the... Just watching. Nvidia showing a little bit of weakness right now, so we want to see where this bids. I'd love to see Russell and Nvidia kind of show strength as we push back down into these pivots and find this bid here, allowing for our NQ entry if we're going to get one more leg. I'm fine with where we're trading right now in NQ. This doesn't matter to me. Just a dip makes sense there. Again, this is just ADR. So building out this area, retesting to see if this supply is actually going makes sense.
Natural gas change. Forecast a draw of 4 BCF. Prior, a draw of 14 BCF.
So we flipped our pivot. on our halfway back here on NQ. Now watching, I think, on retest. This is why we're getting this
Also
sell,
expecting
right?
comments from ECB's
Watch to
President
see how we
Lagarde,
interact as we
who
push
gives an
into this.
acceptance speech at the Transatlantic Press Ceremony 2025 at the Stubbenschert Gesellschaft in Frankfurt.
Of course, this is our big SPY pivot, which is also a reason why I've taken off. It's like, I don't know how we're going to interact here, but every attempt so far has resulted in this being our supply until we can flip it. So it's a pretty big area, because this could easily hold our upper balance as resistance, and we fail to push above. So we need to see how we're going to interact here. We know that there's a seller positioned up here on SPY. So waiting for this pullback to finish on NVIDIA, and then we get our next leg if we're going to go up once NVIDIA finds this low with Russell. If we can get this Russell and NVIDIA low here, that would be ideal for one more leg up. And NVIDIA is popped back down into our edge here. So ideally, right, we find a bid, we step back above with Russell finding a low, and then we look for this flip of this seller as our bid again, right, showing interest back above. That's what we'll watch for. Break of downtrend, right, this seller stepping out of the way at 50s, and then look up again. See if Russell can find this low. I'm not looking to add on NQ until we see RTY and NVIDIA show at least a bit of relief, and then buyers stepping back in. Testing our 50 offer now. There's your Russell bid, immediate off of our edge. NVIDIA is starting to show it as well. Let's see if we can flip this 50 on NQ.
The USTR extends exclusions from China's Section 301 tariffs. The US extends China 301 carve-out to November 10th, 2026.
Like, one of the easiest, this isn't anything new, we talk about it all the time, but one of the easiest things you can do for yourself is like find pivots that you like on NQ and ES, and then just wait for the things that we want to actually find those lows and return gain momentum again, right? So if we wait for RTY to find that momentum, we'll have full market participation then as NQ and ES are pushing into those lows. We find that NVIDIA pop, right? All of a sudden, we find our areas where we're looking for that interest to be, and that gives us a much better opportunity than just blindly trying to buy, you know, the knife catch on NQ and ES without those momentum, without the momentum, right? But as soon as we can find those, that gives us a much better opportunity to actually look for that NQ low, that ES low. It's nothing crazy, but it is something that will you'll see an immediate effect on your entries. Your entry quality will be so much better if you can wait for that full market participation.
Extension is related to technology transfer and IP.
Right, because if you think about like the market as an oscillator, and you don't even need like this to actually break out and go higher. We'd like to see that happen, but for scalping, all you have to just think about the market as an oscillator, right? This isn't anything a new concept, but when I talk about this, the market has breadth, right? There's buying pressure and there's selling pressure, and we can look at it as an oscillation of that, right? And we want to be buying when most things are kind of coming to the end
EIA
of their
natural gas change forecast draw of 4 BCF. Prior, a draw of 14 BCF.
the end of their
Expected
sell
as well is
cycle.
ECB's
Oh,
President
yeah.
Lagarde, who gives an acceptance speech at the Transatlantic Press Ceremony 2025 at the Stubenschert Gesellschaft in Frankfurt.
Right? We want to be buying things when things are coming to the end of their sell cycle. And this is why we utilize tick as well. Right? If we know that things are overbought into these highs and we're looking for that pullback into our low, right? Like that's that zero tick. And we can look at that as our tick into these lows of like, oh, okay, our pressure has weaned, right? It's waned. And we're now able to then look for a continuation. And that's that tick zero, right? It's the same thing here. We find our next leg in an uptrend when we push back into our zero. And it's the same thing on Russell. We look for where the market pressure is going to wane and where we can expect relief to occur to then look for that entry, giving us a much better opportunity than just trying to blindly buy and pyramid into these lows as we push down. We have a point of interest that we can play around that gives us a much better opportunity. I know I don't talk about tick a ton these days, but I have it on my chart still, and I use Russell as the same indication. Hopefully people are like paying attention. I know it's a short week and we don't have a ton of people here today, but I mean, today's session has been absolute gold. We got our Russell pivot right where we wanted, tick into our zero, NQ, holding our pivot, rotating back up, flipping, going back up to highs. I've taken my first risk off here off of our flip. And again, it's like if we know where NVIDIA, we know where Russell is going to, we're getting full market participation because everything is pushing down into a pivot at the same time. And now we have all stocks, right, pushing it together, which gives us a much better opportunity for buying than in any other circumstance. Right, which then allows us to get a really nice entry. Like I don't need to buy this low if I can buy the secondary move and play it up. And now I've been able to capture, 30 points here. I've taken one off and I was able to exit into our highs once I saw that offer step in, play the pullback, wait, play the secondary move, and now play this back up once we have Russell momentum back in the market. Right? And it's like, okay, well, where are we looking then for that that seller to be sitting again? Well, you can just look at tick, right? This is where you can take off risk into your scalp once we see that zero bid, right? We come back up into our overbought area on tick, into our 500. Like we know that the market is having struggles here. We continue to see that. So take off some risk here, and then let's see if we can then build to higher lows. Are we gonna have to come all the way back down to zero? I don't know. We'll see. But I've taken off some of my risk from our original entry because we know the market is again in an overbought territory on tick. And now we wait for a secondary move. So I can scalp based off of 0 to 500. Take off first risk. Now wait to see what we do. These aren't new concepts. It's just a trending market. If you aren't very familiar with tick or Russell bounces, right? Like these are things that we've gone over in depth. New 15's opening, 40 seconds.
Ten seconds.
New
A
15 to
draw of
open.
11 BCF, a draw of 11 BCF, bigger than the expected draw of 5 BCF.
Freddie Mac reports the US 30-year fixed rate mortgages averaged 6.23% on the November 26th week, which is down from the 6.26% the prior week. The 15-year was at 5.51% for the same week. And we have posted the EIA natural gas change on the feed for those interested. That's the weekly report.
NVIDIA showing a little weakness. NQ bid still sitting 350, no change, but could see a little bit of a dip below if we can't push higher from here. Just keeping an eye on it. Watching this area as our little liquidity pocket. I'd like to see a dip in and then a bid back above 50s if we don't just immediate see a bid off of 50. Just as we retest this 40 to 50 area, just watching. So we'll dip in, and then we look to see if we can then flip back above, or if this is going to fail here. Looking into our 40 now, our value low, previous candle. And then I want to see us bid back above 50 off of that to confirm it, or this will be where our offer starts to sit at 50, and then we'll rotate down from here off of a failure. So dip into 40 now, and then again, we want to see a higher low above 50s after this. Doesn't matter what's happening here. We watch for the secondary move. This is either going to be a very clear rejection and then a continuation down, or we'll flip back above and then we'll continue upward off of it. NVIDIA leading down right now, so you have to wait. Back to our 30 bid. I'll look for longs back over 50. if our bid's still here at 30s.
So UK's Chancellor Reeve says the income tax threshold is frozen due to lower productivity.
$30 bounce again, offer at 50, watching to see if we can flip or if it holds for a lower high. The way that I look at these areas always is it's going to be, where is our main pivot? And to me right now, this is where that sweeper occurred, right? So we're watching to see if we can flip back above and hold, or if offer sticks here and then we rotate down off of it. So if 50 offer holds and then we rotate below 40, to me this is then our risk for our short. And if we can flip above this 40 to 50, then I'm looking for longs, with this then being our risk from our look above and hold and bid, right? So we know that we have liquidity in 30, but I'm not looking for the knife catch. I'm looking for the secondary move. So either the bid and hold over 50s and then using this as our risk for upside, or we see that our 30 liquidity was able to hold, but then 50 offer holds and then we step below, then I'll use 40 as our risk for the push down, right? Like I just got to wait to see what we're
UK's
going to
Chancellor
do
Reeve
into
says the
this
trade
pivot.
deals mean we can beat growth forecasts.
Should be our first risk off into our wick low if you're playing off of the 40 offer. You see how that works? We wait for that secondary. Do you see how this is the long if we can flip above, and how this becomes your offer for your risk for your rotation down? And we can just play off of that. Do you see? Okay. Just back to our pivot here on Russell. Watching our retest into 41 on ES. Just in runners here on my short on NQ. Back to our 40 to 50, watching to see how we play. If Russell wants to find this bid here again and rotate back up, I'll get invalidated on my short, and then we'll flip, and then we'll look to see if 50s can hold for upside, trapping this liquidity below. It's reoffering right now. Good hold on RTY so far. Another bounce off our 0 tick. Just full rotation back up to our 500. Trin is more for swing. You can like kind of like form a basis of what you think the day is going to do based off of Trin and what you think is going to happen on the next day. But tick is more for scalping. Trin is more for like swing trading and for getting an idea of like market sentiment overall. I think that they're good, but I think they're less useful for the way that we trade. I think tick is like by far the most useful for intraday trading. Because remember, like tick is showing you all of the stocks in the S&P 500, right? All of the stocks in, it's I shouldn't even say the S&P 500. It's all of the stocks on the exchange. So this is the New York Stock Exchange. That's what this tick is set to. There's also one for NASDAQ, right? Based off of which ones you're on. But it's showing you all stocks that are on an uptick or a downtick, right? And it doesn't mean that they're going up always, right? It's uptick or downtick at any given point. So if the overall market is on a downtick or the overall market is an overall trend up, right? Most things are either neutral or bullish, which is what 0 to 500 is representing, right? This is a neutral to bullish. We're not in a selling market. We're in a neutral to bullish market where trend is continuing to go up. That's that rotation. Once we start to do these lower rotation, where did that just go? Oh, it like overlapped. I don't know how that happened. There we go. So like what tick is representing here is like this is a trending market ups, you know, is 500 to 1000. This is just a slow grind up, no big moves down. When we get into these negative 500s to negative 1000s, this is usually like a very clear dip buy or a shift of trend, right? So, but when we get down in here, this is going to be like a dip buy where like we fake out liquidity. But when we're just rotating 500 to 0, this is a market that is just slow grinding up. there's no negative tick coming in, right? It's either the market is, all stocks are either neutral, right? They're not going up, or they're going up. That's it, right? Like it's an uptick or it's a neutral tick. We're not seeing an overall sentiment of downticks in the market when it's just rotating to zero. When we do get these larger rotations down, this is usually going to represent our low, and then we'll watch to see if we then get a more drastic shift. But as soon as we see stuff like this, I'm not looking to trade until we get into these extremes. When we get into these extremes, then I'll look to play this back up to zero. Once we get into an extreme, this should represent our low. And then we'll see if we then have a shift of trend where then we start to rotate between our 0 and our negative 500, right? But until then, I'm just watching. Because before this is just like an easy buy the pullback dip from 0 to 500. That's the rotation that we were doing on the day. Now I have to wait and see because we're seeing a potential shift in our market sentiment with Russell starting to show weakness, Nvidia showing weakness, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm just waiting. Right, and we got our bearish tick signal there, the highs, a little bit of a divergence. But now we watch to see if like the sentiment is shifting. Are we now going to be holding a down tick where most things are either going to be neutral or selling, right? If that's the case, then we have to shift our bias because the market is shifting its bias. We'll see. But tick is by far the most useful for scalping. Like not even close. Something that you can think about as well is like if you're in a long and you've been in a long for a while and you are watching, like just watch to see how the market is interacting on the day, right? If we see that most of the day from our lows, right, has been this just rotation between our 0 and our 500, right? Like as soon as that sentiment starts to shift, like this is a very clear shift compared to what was happening earlier in the day, right? This is a very clear shift in our market sentiment right now. This is very different than from our open and what's been happening on the day as we've just been pushing upward, right? Like we can very clearly see that this is an outlier. So what happens here is something that we really want to be paying attention to, because before this, we can just stay in our position and let this run as long as nothing is changing in how the market is reacting, right? We're just oscillating. Now, this is a very clear shift where sell side is trying to step in here. Overall on the market, we're seeing a shift from buying and from a neutral to buying market to a market that is now trying to sell. What happens as we push into this low should be very meaningful to let us know if this is now going to be, you know, a downtrend and a shift out of this buying market, or if we're going to now go into this low and then use this to then make a higher low and then a bid off of this once we get into this negative 500, negative 1000 territory. But this is where I'm now looking to see if sell side's going to take advantage, and this market is now going to stick into this like neutral to selling area. I hope that makes sense. But like this should be a very clear pattern that you can see the shift of this pattern between a market that was slowly grinding up and oscillating to now a look below. And now it's like, okay, well, this is now in seller's hands. Are we going to be able to do something with this sell, or is this just going to be a pullback? We're going to trap into these lows and then we're going to get back to normal. Because if we are, and these lows aren't going to be meaningful, we can then look on footprint and we can see like NQ is just absorbing into this 310, which was our original bid. So if these guys get trapped down here and then we do a full rotation back and then we start to hold zero and just do this oscillation again, then we know that these traders in this low are very much so trapped off sides, and then we'll get back to normal as business as usual, right? And then just continue our rotation back up. So this should be very telling in the next, 30 minutes to let us know what we want to actually do on the day, or for the rest of the day, or at least this sequence. And we can see like this POC is into this low. We're rotating back up to our offer here from our 40 to 50. And now we'll watch to see what happens. Like if there's no meaningful sustain here on our zero on retest from this look above and higher lows across the market, I think it's just the bid failing here. Watching our zero tick test. This is where we can easily look for that higher low on NQ and ES based off of that tick hold as well. And like this is where you want to see the bid ideally sustain if we're going to get a higher low based off of that tick as well. If like this zero doesn't hold, then we can't find a higher low on NQ and then we flip below 10s. Like that to me is like, oh, okay, trend's shifting, sell side's going to take advantage. Offer then we want to see then stick below 10s on DOM. And then that will lead to a much more drastic sell leg. So we'll see. Things to note is that NVIDIA is just back to our pivot. Right. So a big test here. And again, this is just our supply on SPY. We're still just trying to build this out and flip. I wait.
Gold rises nearly 1%. And Redfin reports rising home prices and economic volatility, curbing would-be buyers' appetites in the lead up to Thanksgiving. Redfin say US pending home sales declined 2.1% year over year during the 4 weeks ending November 23rd.
Bid's got to go crazy here. Or I expect pullback to hold because we're just in our 500s watching. Haven't been stopped yet. Stop's still sitting at 51s on runners on my short. If we flip and then bid, I'll look to flip. That bid will probably come on a pullback to 0. Stopped out runner at 51. Just waiting. Still think we need like a 0 pullback on tick, or this is just going to be a divergence. Sell side is like just very clearly here still. Watching for our 0 to see if a bid steps in. just nothing. This is what I mean by divergence. Higher highs, lower highs. Figure it out. It'll be very clear when the market's actually ready to do something.
Vanguard plans to buy more UK gilts, according to the Financial Times. We have put the article by the FT on the feed for those interested.
I'm still flat, by the way. I haven't bought anything. I'm waiting. Bid is trying to flip 50, but I don't think it's ready yet. We'll see. $20 2015s. Just looking for the actual pullback, and then the hold, and then the bid. I'm not in on this. Not for me. Too slow. Retesting POCs of previous candles. I'm still flat, just waiting. It's too slow for me. Market's too indecisive. Very two-sided.
In 10 minutes time now, at the top of the hour, see the release of the weekly Baker Hughes rig count numbers. Total rigs saw a per hour of 554, while oil rigs saw a per hour of 419.
Midday slowdown is so brutal, man. Make a decision.
In 5 minutes' time now, at the top of the hour, we see the release of the Baker Hughes rig count numbers. Total rigs prior of 554, oil rigs a prior of 419.
Oh, Lord. $50 offer still holding, but sellers can't do anything with it. Spec to R40, just oscillating. Still haven't taken anything.
We're shortly expecting the release of the weekly Baker Hughes rig count numbers.
News in 50 seconds. As well as new 15s.
Total rigs 544, 544.
Order rigs 407, 407.
POC trying to shift here on ES could be very important. Watching our pivot at 43. See if we hold it on as offer or if we flip it as supportive on retest. Bid trying to step in here as well on NQ now that rig numbers have come out. See if the market gets some movement now. Is my volume profile not showing on NQ? It's odd. So if you guys don't know, the market is closed tomorrow. And then Friday, it is a half day with the market closing at 1 p.m. Eastern. I will wake up on Friday and see if it's worth trading.
Pentagon said Alibaba should be on the list for China military ties. Pentagon assessment on Alibaba, Baidu, and BYD in October letter. Saying again, Pentagon said Alibaba should be on the list for China military ties, seeing movement towards the downside on the S&P 500 off of the back of that.
But I doubt that it'll be worth trading Friday, just an FYI. So probably no stream unless I see something crazy. Sell side holding our pivot, rotating us down off of that news for some reason.
Seeing Alibaba ADR is quickly erasing gains, down 1.4%.
We'll just watch our reoffer. I don't think this is tradable. We can watch this offer here. Watching ES into 35. This is like such a non-news event. Just an excuse for the market to move because of how sideways we were. Holding of our bow low here off of our 25. I'm watching to see if we can flip 90. If this 310, 290 area still holds bid, then I don't think there's any change. And this is just a non-event. If we can flip our 290, then I'll look short for my last trade of the day.
Further details into this, then, the Pentagon concluded that Alibaba, Baidu, and BYD should be added to a list of companies that aid the Chinese military, according to a letter to Congress sent roughly 3 weeks before Trump and Xi Jinping agreed to broad trade truce.
I mean, that's like, that is the
Deputy
most
Defense Secretary
non-news
Feinberg
event I've ever
informed
heard in my
lawmakers
life.
of the conclusion in the October 7th letter.
Like, I've never heard anything that was less of a news
So it
event.
wasn't clear whether the companies have been formally included in the Pentagon's so-called 1260H list, which carries no direct legal repercussions but serves as a major warning to US investors.
Yeah, that's literally the most non-news event I've ever heard in my life. 50 seconds till new 15s. Again, we'd need to flip this low for me to care, or this is just gonna retrace. That was like, I mean, I don't even know why that was announced. It's maybe the worst example of someone trying to manipulate the market I've ever seen with a news event. Literally everything could be tied to the Chinese military or the Chinese government. They own the banks that give out the loans for every company. Like, what are we talking about? Full rotation, just retracing our sell. Offer sitting at 40. You could try shorting this 40 with a stop above the news high at 54 for a reoffer, but it's like a C setup. It's nothing crazy, right? Like, this would be a risk. The news high, with this being your offer, into our seller here for rotation down again off of a failure in the lower high. But I just like, it's whatever. It's whatever.
Six counterparties take $2.217 billion at Fed reverse repo operation.
Another bounce off our 305, 291 area. Just rotation back up to our 40 to 50. No change. I don't know, man. I'm kind of over it. Again, I think that if we flip this, then we can head back down, but we need to see that flip and offer. And then it's just a rotation back into our 30-second opening range. But if we can't flip, then I'm not incredibly interested in shorts. This is just going to be a bid until proven otherwise, and then just a rotation back up into the supply up here. Remember, this is our ADR. I think that your targets are still this like 420, 435 on any sort of flip in. But we have to show interest first. This balance is fine, but I'm just not really, I just don't care. I just don't care. Offer still holding our 50, no change. See if we re-offer 40 on the look in, and then the failure. We're going to do another rotation. Or if this is going to be able to actually bid up over. It's just rotations. Watching our re-offer now. Full rotation here on ES, no change. NQ coming into POC, a previous candle. Russell still holding highs. See what happens on ES as we rotate down into our lows here again, off of another failure at our POC, at our highs. NVIDIA starting to lead down. I mean, that was my long target. I've closed everything since then, but I don't know. I think that we could definitely head up to like 65, 64, up into that ADR if we do want to do one more leg, like if the seller fails here into end of day. But I don't know. I'm fully closed longs. I had a really good morning. I was hoping I was going to get one more trade before I leave, but I don't know if I'm willing to sit here. Yeah, NQ's gross. Like, this NVIDIA is not helping, but the problem is like on the higher time frame, or not, I don't want to call it higher time frame, the medium time frame, we're holding our pivot. My issue is like SPY is like so clearly at a big pivot, and like ES as well for that matter, right? Like there's just like such a clear upper distribution up here that we have to battle through. This is what I marked as this morning, is it's like this is that pivot, right? From that upper balance. It's just like, okay, well, what do we want to do here? So I just fully closed while we were waiting. And now I just don't know. But like if we flip 290, 310, I think no, I usually don't reference SPY at all, but someone asked about it early today, so that was like that was the only reason I had it up. I never reference anything really these days, unless like we're very stuck and it's like, oh, okay, why are we stuck? Like if we go look at like Gex for today, I'm guessing that this is it, right? This is the last trading day, and then like Friday is useless. It's a half day, so I'm guessing that like the market's probably pretty stuck here with options. Yeah, I think SPX is good to keep up, but I don't know. Like what I said yesterday to someone who asked about SPX, I think it was Kevin, is like usually our ES and NQ and RTY are pretty good enough, right? Like the order flow is usually pretty self-explanatory around our SPX levels. You know what I mean? But there's definitely like areas where like looking at SPX matters for sure. I think like as we approach like closer to end of week, it matters a bit more with options expirations. Same with like end of day, I guess you could say might have a benefit, but I don't know. My time frame is so short that like none of that shit matters, right? Like I'm on a 15-second chart, for God's sake. Like I'm just playing off of the most recent buyer and seller. I shouldn't say it doesn't matter, but like there are other things that matter more for the short term, you know? Like SPX is not something that I look at when I'm looking at setups, I guess is the best way to put it. But like I think it's good for like overall targets and understanding like where the market could go as a magnet for sure. But usually I've taken, 20 trades to that target already, so it's like I don't know. I'm just not your guy if you want me to like hold all day in one trade. Just not your guy. Yeah, I think XLK is great to look at. I don't know, because like NVIDIA has been such a powerful tool, so I just have that up on another chart. I have a chart with RTY and NVIDIA on 5 minute. Just keeping an eye on those, just for like market sentiment. With like Russell and NVIDIA falling right now, the market looks like absolute ass. What's reading the news out to you? We pay for a service called Financial Juice. And it's just a guy with a Bloomberg terminal reading the news all day. Live.
Treasury announces contingency plan for lack of October CPI. Again, Treasury announces contingency plan for lack of October CPI in tips.
I don't know, this is probably a bid again, unless we can flip below 290 and hold. Yeah, I think that's good. You officially have more monitors than me. It's crazy. Me? I just have 4. I don't know about that, man. I don't know of any skill issue. You seem to be doing alright. Your resolution is crazy, though. Like, you're so zoomed in. Do you have bad vision? Or is it just like 1080? I haven't seen 1080 screens in a very long time. That might just be what it is. 1080p monitors.
Seeing US listed shares of Baidu falling 1.9% after reports that Pentagon suggests adding company to list of firms aiding Chinese military.
Yeah. Like the resolution on your, like even on like the Discord and everything else, it's just like all gigantic. You might just have 1080 monitors. I'm just so used to like 2K at this point that everything is like so much smaller because of the resolution. once you go to like a 2K, it's so hard to go back, or a 4K. 4K is too much though. You're doing too much with a 4K monitor. 2Ks are like still affordable and they don't have a huge toll on your PC. I don't know why I'm still here, honestly. Just like spent an hour doing nothing. I should have left. In 50 seconds till new 15s. I've watched the first 2 or 3 episodes, whatever was out last week. It's interesting. I'm giving it a chance. I'm not sold on it. Like I don't care about it yet. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely interesting. And it has some like very cool more moral questions, like big questions, but I don't know if I really care yet. Like I don't know where they can go with the show. Like it feels a little gimmicky right now, but I think it's like a very cool idea. But I have no clue where they can go with it for it to feel like they could add more to the season. Like, you know what I mean? Like there has to be another twist. I'm waiting for another twist. Yeah, like I'm very unsure about the direction of it. Like right now it feels like it would have been a really cool like Sundance movie where like, oh, like these are some like really cool moral questions that are being asked, and like it's a funny idea, like the most miserable woman in the world is the last human alive, you know what I mean? And like, does it make sense? Is society better off? Like those are like very interesting questions, but like does it make for a good TV show in a seasonal format? I just don't know. I guess we'll find out. I'll give it a shot. Vince hasn't let me down so far. This 300, 316 area is the only area where I'm looking for a short if sell side's going to win out. I'm keeping an eye on this 300 to like 316 offer here as we push into this low. If the offer can't hold below this, I just don't think they have it in them. I want to see this hold very clear, wrong tool, a very clear offer in this, and then a flip below for a continuation down. And then I think this is a rotation into this. But if we fail here and we pop and we hold this 290, I'm just really not interested in this low. For sell. We have to offer below 290 for me to care. If they just want to bid this, like, we just go back up. Anything now is just a bid. Like, this needs to flip for reversion, or it's just going to be the low of our balance here off of this guy, and then we just rotate back up off of it. So to me, this is sell side failure. There's nothing here. We shall see. This is all I'm looking for a short. When it's real, it'll play like this, and we'll be able to play it down. Until then, this is just where the bid rests. Do you just need me to send you some juice, man? Do you want me to send you some pods? I'm more than happy to send you pods. I don't care. Alright, yeah, just DM me, man. Watching our 305 290 for bid or a flip. This is all I care about. If this doesn't play, I'm out. Because this will just be a reversion to 240, and then I'll just look for the short, and then continuation down, and I'll just let that play out naturally. Go let the dog go out, be done for the day. So let's see if we find a bid here, or if this flips.
So reminder, in about 6 minutes' time, we're expecting the Fed's beige book.
I might actually be out regardless of what happens here. This market's only getting worse. As we push into 325 again, offer sits here for your first target. Again, we need to flip below 290 and then hold that for any for any downside trades. This is your first risk off for any longs here if you're playing off the yellow zone. Russell leading up. Nvidia sideways, but trying to sustain. We might have to just wait for this beige book to come out. A minute until new 15s.
1 minute to go now to read the Fed beige book. 10 seconds.
New 15s. Expect volatility here with the beige book. As soon as that starts being read.
There's a little change since the previous report, according to most of the 12 Federal Reserve districts, though 2 districts noted a modest decline and 1 reported modest growth. Some contacts noted an increased risk of slower activity in coming months, while some optimism was noted among manufacturers. Generally, they also say that wages generally grew at a modest pace. However, some sectors, such as manufacturing, construction, and this report was prepared by the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas based on information collected on or before November 17th.
Again, this is your first
The
risk
beige book
off.
adds that
You're playing off
prices
the
rose
lows.
moderately during the reporting period.
Next take profit is into this 35.40. Offer sitting at 33 right now. But we know we have liquidity above. I'm out half my long. Just tagged into our 40 liquidity. Two left.
Further into the employment declined slightly over the current period, with around half of districts noting weaker labor demand.
Alright, that's probably my last trade. I'm gonna just keep my stop on at 290, or at these lows actually, on my runner, now that we've taken full profit. This is our pivot. We know we have liquidity here, sell side. I'm gonna see if I can try to hold this, but I'm letting it completely go back on me, potentially. If this flips, then this will probably be a downside move with sell side confirming.
They say despite an uptick in layoffs announcements, more districts reported contacts limiting headcounts using hiring freezes, replacement only hiring, and attrition than through layoffs.
Alright, that'll be it. And then if we can flip this pivot, then we just go up. We have our pivots above.
Then they say that there were multiple reports of margin compression of all firms facing financial strain stemming from tariffs. Prices had declined for certain materials, which firms attributed to sluggish demand, deferred tariff implementation, or reduced tariff rates. And looking ahead, contacts largely anticipate upward cost pressures to persist, but plans to raise prices in the near term are mixed.
Alright, you guys have a beautiful Thanksgiving. I will potentially talk to you guys Friday. We'll see how the market is. I know Mario is not going to be here Friday. There's potential that I'll come and see if the liquidity is okay, but if it's like 2 contracts per price level on Dom, like I'm out of here. it's not worth our time to just sit here. Go be a consumer, buy overpriced things on Black Friday, you know, and then we'll regroup Monday. Yeah. We'll see. Like, I'll definitely look, but if it looks like ass, like, I'm not gonna be here, and you shouldn't either. It's not worth your time. Just back into our pivot here. Again, like, I'm only looking for shorts. I'd only be looking for shorts if 290 flipped, and then you'd be looking for a reversion back to your 30-second opening range and VWAP below. If this continues to maintain, then I don't really see a shift. But this was a nice rotation. All right. Goodbye. I'll post charts after I end stream.